Pittsburgh Steeler fans, welcome back to another episode of the Scho Bro Show. It's Tuesday night. It's just after 9 p.m. Where else are you going to be, Steeler fans? I am Dave Schofield, editor of BehindTheSteelCurtain.com. Your one-stop shop for all things Pittsburgh Steelers. And with me, as always, it can't be the Scho Bro Show unless I'm here with Big Bro Scho. Rich, how's it going tonight?
We're just going to take a second. That's a quick breathe. Got to do a quick breathe because we didn't score many points this week. So you can't long breathe that one in. You know. It was enough to breathe it in. So we're just going.
I would take a huge breath there. I would take an enormous breath because it was a huge victory. It doesn't matter that they only scored 15 points. They needed to get out of Cleveland with a W, and they managed to do that. And we have a lot to talk about for this game because if you've noticed the title of the show, we have a little bit different perspectives about stuff, and we specifically did not talk about it to save it to talk with you all. Let's just say this. If we were going to have this show at halftime of the game on Sunday, you all would have been highly entertained.
Oh yeah.
Highly entertained with some brother action, discussing some things going on. But then we come back and we
just
have a couple
the rest of the staff on the Slack channel.
We talked about it in the post-game show a little bit. And we're gonna break it down, and we're going to kind of say our thoughts, and then we're going to kind of say how we also, in the last 2 days, really understand where the other one's coming from too.
Oh, by the way, I have to say something else about that quick breathe that I had in there. You do have to understand that wind came in Cleveland, and if you breathe too deep, you get too much smell of jag there. So you got to just get a quick breathing on it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's that you got to also think, the Steelers, they have to hold their breath even longer because they can't just hop on a flight and leave. They got to take the bus. And I'm trying to think how long are they still in Ohio when you're taking the bus back to Pittsburgh?
Long enough that, like I said, as Kyle would say, that jag smell just, follow them all the way back to the state line, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, we really want to get into the title of the show, but we can't yet because, my goodness, it was a big day. Lots of stuff going on. Trade deadline. Coach Tallman spoke today. Another announcement this evening. Let's go with the most recent. Let's go with the. I had to write a breaking news article tonight. I wrote one last night at 11:30. That's another one. Wrote one last night at 11:30 when it was reported that Khalil Davis was signing with the practice squad. That's the twin brother of Carlos Davis. The Steelers reportedly put in a waiver claim for him at the beginning of October when the Buccaneers released him, but they weren't high enough on priority. He was picked up by the Colts, let go by the Colts. No one claimed him. Steelers signed him to the practice squad. That was an interesting article to write late at night. Not so late tonight because I wrote it about an hour and a half ago. That, Rich, when you will be seated in section 122 Monday night, you will get to be.
If somebody,
Yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah. We'll take care of that. There. I was going to message you, but I'm like, that would require us talking between the game and now, and we needed to save things. But you'll be watching the Steelers in their color rush uniforms. It was announced that the Steelers are doing a color rush for Monday night. They are 6-1. Wearing the color rush. Ben Roethlisberger has never lost wearing the color rush. Some people are like, really? You're going to bust it out for the Bears? I'm like, you know what? Bust it out for the Bears. Go get this victory. How do you feel about the color rush?
Let's make it 4 in a row. First of all, I even interrupted Kyle while he was doing his online driver's ed course tonight to inform him that it was a color rush game because he actually owns the Chase Claypool color rush jersey. So he is excited about wearing that. Yes. And now Renee has the reverse color rush jersey of TJ Watt. So I'm sure, she'll be wearing that.
That came to you courtesy of me, courtesy of courtesy of China.
Yeah, courtesy of China and small people.
Whatever shady spot he got that from. Let's just say it was about 3 or 4 sizes smaller than what it said it was.
You know what? The jersey itself is pretty quality. It's just
it is.
size. It's just size wrong.
Yeah. Yep.
But
yeah, so you are going to be up there with the fam. You will be in my seats, and part of the fam will be in your seats. So you guys will be spread out a little bit up there. But hey, do people get the invite to be part of the 122 crew if they want to swing by and say hey to Big Bro?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Probably, I'll probably be wearing my Pouncy jersey still. It's going to be a little too chilly to go just with the Big Bro Scho shirt. So
that's true. It's interesting. I have to admit, I was after the post game show. I took the kids out to go trick or treating in the neighborhood, and of course, I was out in my Steeler gear. I was wearing my Steelers do-rag, my Cam Hayward Color Rush uniform. I was wearing the Bumblebee socks. Well, technically it's the reverse Bumblebee socks because they're black with gold rings rather than the other way around. And people were saying, "Oh yeah, look at that gear." I'm like, "You want to know the truth? All I did was put on long sleeves under the jersey and put on shoes. Other than that, it was the exact same thing I was wearing for the game." Nice. So that was pretty nice. But yeah, I get dressed up even when I'm sitting at home. So I'll be wearing my Color Rush uniform, my Color Rush Cam Hayward, sitting on my couch, having a knee-jerk reaction and stuff like that.
Yep. Hold on, I gotta say, Thaddeus, happy to see you out there tonight. I guess
he's
not working tonight. So
yes, Thaddeus has said how he.
Of course, I'm sitting here. I see all the other regulars out here too. But Thaddeus and I talk regularly, and he had let me know why we hadn't been seeing him here on the show. So it was nice to see him be able to pop in the live chat there.
Good to see him there. Good to see you, Thaddeus. So, all right, let's get some more with this news. We got Color Rush. So that's
Color Rush.
That's looking forward.
Good news.
We'll come back to Coach Tomlin last. We'll go to the trade deadline. Some Steeler fans are happy, unhappy. Happy with the move they made, unhappy they didn't make more. I'm not really surprised. The NFL is not a big trade deadline league, but it's getting so much more than ever was. The fact that the Steelers were involved at all, it's only because Melvin Ingram reportedly really wanted out. So the Steelers are like, let's see what we can do. They sent him to Kansas City, so they will see him later this season in December. But in turn, they got a 2022 6th-round draft pick. Rich, what's your thought on the Steelers trade?
Some people said we should have just kept him. I disagree. There's certain positions where I don't think you just hold guys. Edge rusher being one of them. Yeah. All right. Because if you put that guy in the game, you need his motor going at 110%.
Yeah.
That's what edge rushers are. Okay. Yeah. And if you have a guy whose heart is not really here, you're not going to get anywhere close to 100%, let alone 110%.
Yeah.
Motor out of that guy. So then it's doing you no good to put him on the field. So then if you're not going to have the good of putting him on the field, you might as well let him go somewhere else and get something in return.
Yeah. And a lot of people are like, oh, I really would have liked a 5th. Like Jeff Hartman said, he's like, if you just even if you just get a 7th, at least you get something, because if not, they were probably going to end up having to release him.
Yep, they probably were.
So at least there you got something back. They get a 6th. I know Jeff is doing an article that's summing up where the Steelers are with the draft, because a lot of their lower round draft picks are all shifted around with that. So he should be on top of that one. He said he was going to do it. I will also tell you, in looking at the compensatory formula right now, I did an update of that during the bye week, and the Steelers stood at 1 pick, and it was a 4th rounder because Bud Dupree had been injured and hadn't played enough snaps. And then Ahkello Witherspoon canceled Mike Hilton, and Joe Haeg canceled Matt Filer. Joe Haeg is now dropped below the 25% snap of offensive snaps threshold, which he was barely hanging on as a 7th rounder. As of right now, Over the Cap has him out of there. They have him not counting in the formula, which would give the Steelers 2 picks, which would be right now a 4th and a 5th. And Bud Dupree is getting more snaps in. All he needs is just a few more higher percentages, and he's going to bump up into a 3rd. So the Steelers could be looking
that to happen unless Bud Dupree gets hurt.
Yeah, and as long as bottom line is if Dupree plays, gets them the third, at least they would get the one. It'd be even nice if they got the second one. But that's where they're sitting there. Phil Ingram, back to Ingram. We're going to introduce some stuff from Coach Tomlin's press conference now, because he was asked, hey, actually seeing Taco Charlton in a game, did that help you to evaluate that? Actually seeing Derek Tuska, who's now has a couple games under his belt in some limited snaps in a game, does that help you to evaluate more than practice? Coach Tomlin says, absolutely. They think
sure.
they think they're right. I'll be honest with you. This is what I envisioned now for the backups. Charlton's not a coverage guy. He's not. He's even played, some defensive line. I don't think he's a guy you want to put out there and say, hey, you're going to drop into coverage. If you're going to put a guy in to do that, I think it's Tuska, if it's not one of your starters. So that's how I think they'll be utilized a little bit more. And bottom line is he used the line. He used the line that I even used in the article about it, that I knew he was going to say it. And that is, we need volunteers, not hostages.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Coach Tomlin said another thing in his press conference that I'm going to relate to the Ingram stuff before we touch on anything else. And he was talking about the Steelers and how they prefer to build through the draft. By him saying that, it told us a couple things. One, that they probably weren't going to make any other moves, although he didn't shut that down in the press conference. You never know, but it all depends on what came across and what people were talking about. But what he was talking about was saying, when you get a guy where you draft him and they're coming in fresh out of college, you're coming in. I know there's got to be something hilarious in the live chat, but I'll check it a little bit. You come in fresh out of college and you can kind of shape them as a professional, and get them believing in your system, where when you're picking up guys as free agents, you don't really know where they're coming from and their expectations. And a lot of this with Ingram, while he was here, his expectation and the Steelers' expectations, they didn't meet. To me, what that tells me is this. This is how I envision it. I could be way off. So this is just my own commentary, my own opinion. So what it comes down to is the way the Steelers operate, and they have, is that the older guys, they take care of the younger guys. And sometimes these guys know you are working with your replacement eventually, that you're helping them along and teaching them the Steelers way. I don't think that's the way Ingram had it with the Chargers. And I don't think he's used to that. And I think that he might, there might be other teams where you go into your position room and you're not sitting next to someone that you're trying to all get better. You're sitting next to someone that you're trying to show that you're better than them, so you get the snaps over top of them. I could be completely off there. But to me, by Coach Tomlin saying that, that's how I kind of took it. Is like, if sometimes with these free agents, they're not buying into the way that the Steelers do things. And that is, within a position group, you're all pulling for each other and building each other and teaching each other along the way. I know I just talked for a very long time. So what do you think about that whole thing?
Somewhat agree, because my thought was Ingram felt that by this point in the season, he was going to have proven that he was a better player than Alex Highsmith and getting all those snaps, even though he said he was okay with coming and being a rotational guy. And now that wasn't the case, and so now he's not a happy camper. So,
yeah, or he's a camper. Yeah, the only happy camper is the guy leaving the campsite. Sorry, not a camper here. So you were laughing at your son's comment.
I sure was.
I had to go back and read it while you're talking.
It's a good point.
Yeah. He's like, well, how come Myles Garrett gets to wear his helmet to the stadium, but I can't? Meaning his Uncle Dave. He's like, he's more likely to take it off and hit someone in the head with it. Absolutely. Than what I would be. Yeah, I was told that I can't take my helmet because they just don't allow stuff in there that could, you'd be used to attack someone. So, yeah, very, very interesting. Very good point there. Hashtag pay Kyle. Yeah, it seemed like Ingram believed that, and there was one report, I'm pretty sure It was Aditi Kinkawala, if I say her name correct. I try to say her name. I know how to say her name. I just physically can't get it right, if you know what I'm saying. I blah, blah, blah. It's no disrespect to her. I know how it's supposed to be, but my mouth just doesn't seem to move in that manner. I hope I did well enough there, but I'm pretty sure it was her report that said that Ingram just thought he was better than Highsmith.
Yep.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's not the way the Steelers are.
No, the Steelers
That's
aren't
not the way the Steelers locker room is.
Not to be mean to Melvin Ingram, but you're not. You're not. You like Melvin Ingram, Alex Highsmith. Are they close in higher? Sure, but you're not so much better that you were going to get all the playing time over Alex Highsmith. Sorry, wasn't going to happen.
And also, you have to look. You're like, well, Highsmith, he hasn't shown it this season. He had a really great preseason. So even though, you have to look at the competition he's going against, but you saw that potential there. And the thing is, do you want to just continue to play Ingram over top of him because you're not seeing it now? Or is he a young player that you need to continue to develop? Sign me up for option B there. And that,
right.
And
if two guys are equal, the two guys are equal, I'm taking Highsmith all day.
And I still don't believe that they are, in my opinion. But that's just me. And because it's not like Melvin Ingram was out there tearing up. And honestly, I'm kind of concerned that maybe he just didn't like the 3 outside linebacker package, and that's where he was getting his snaps. If he didn't like being used in that role, I don't know. We don't have to talk about it very much more.
I kind of like that package. I kind of like that package myself, but yeah.
I did too. So I don't know what they're going to do there, but they did elevate. Can't call it elevate because they signed because they moved up from the practice squad. Taco Charlton, he is on the 53-man roster now. They signed Carlos Davis's twin brother Khalil Davis to the practice squad. They released a defensive lineman because they also brought in Josh Lambo, the kicker, which I think is interesting that they did that this morning. And then who gets released today from San Fran is Joey Sly, who kicked for West Virginia, which, how the Steelers like their, they still love their West Virginia kickers.
Not just that,
they play for them. Pat McAfee.
If you kicked in Morgantown, you were facing similar weather conditions as what you will face in Pittsburgh. So
exactly. Although he's been struggling some, but I'm just saying right now, a couple other things from Coach Tomlin's press conference. Boswell's in the protocol, but nothing's standing out as being, different than, unexpected with him. There's a good chance, especially being on a Monday, that he could be back to kick, but you bring in a kicker on the practice squad because you've got to do it. You've got to make
which we're going to get into here shortly.
Oh, yeah. We'll get into that very shortly. After we look at $1.99 from Connor Eddy, he says, does one good catch solidify Pat, or is Ebron number one?
If you're talking about the touchdown catch, I think Pat had solidified himself more as the number one prior to that. So
yeah, and he has more than one good catch. That's one thing I would say for sure too. But I think Freiermuth is, he's been more of a number one option for them. And really, it doesn't matter on the depth chart. It really matters in the snap count.
Correct.
And it matters who Ben Roethlisberger's looking to go to.
I was going to say the target numbers matter.
My goodness, it seemed like the entire first quarter it was Pat. And he would have had another good catch that was brought back on a penalty that I was pretty upset with. Let's talk about some officiating real quick.
No, you do not want to start me on this either.
Because this is what tells, and Jeff Hartman brought this up on Let's Ride on Monday, that he says, I'm pretty sure he said it's his father-in-law that says it's all rigged, it's all set up, it's all predetermined. When you look at some of the officiating stuff there, you're like, one little call and how it can change everything, you have to wonder. Because that one catch by Freiermuth, that he would have been just shy of the first down, most likely. They might have gone for it. But it was called back for an illegal formation on Chukwuekoriofor because he wasn't lined up close enough on the line of scrimmage. Now, from where I saw it, they generally have to be a lot further back. You've got to have your entire face mask behind the center's butt, looking straight down the line before they're going to call it. And they'll generally let you know you're pushing it too far before they'll throw it. And maybe they did, but we don't know that. And I just thought that was a really ticky-tack call, which killed a drive. You know what I'm saying? Their opening drive. So it was pretty bad. As much as Deontay Johnson was getting mugged, the Steelers knew that they could get away with more in the secondary as well. So that was one thing that when Baker Mayfield was all fired up when he went out of bounds and comes up, he never should have even been running that ball, because that was one of the worst holds of the game that was on Spillane there. Or meaning someone was holding Spillane. It was pretty bad.
Kyle and I are sitting upstairs watching that, and the hold happened on Spillane, and I yelled as soon as I saw it happen. I said, "There's a hold," and I was like, "What? No flag, no hanky on that one. We've been hanky happy all game on ticky tack stuff, and then you see that, and it's let go."
Yep. Then you want to call holding in the end zone after the play was over.
Yeah.
Take away 2 points off the board. Yeah, that was, and that was the thing. It was, you can't call pass interference after the guy catches the ball. You can't call holding after the whistle. Well, there wasn't even the whistle, but after the ball crosses the plane. You know what I mean? It's just, it's just,
if you hold somebody after the touchdown is technically scored, the play's over as soon as the ball touches the plane.
Yeah, exactly. So there's some others. The roughing the passer on Alex Highsmith, when basically the only reason Highsmith hit him is because TJ Watt tackled him into Highsmith. That's just bad. But let's get to the other call. We're gonna go ahead and
that call. Okay.
Let's get into the title.
I meant the other official call, because man, I could go down a whole list of bad calls. By the
do you have another one you want to throw out there?
I'm going to give the officials credit on one play in particular.
Okay.
And that was the flag they picked up on TJ Watt.
Yeah.
Okay. I was not surprised at all the flag came out on that play.
Well, the way they twisted him around, it made sense.
Right. The way it twisted it around, the official assumed that he had a hold of the helmet. Okay, because the way the guy's head whipped around, it looked like that was the case. I do not blame the referee for throwing the flag there. What I do appreciate is other officials that also had an eye on that play. They all get together and they're like, "No, he's got a hold of him up here by the jersey. It is not the face mask." They all talk it over and decide, okay, that's the case, and they picked it up. That is actually how officiating is supposed to be.
Yeah.
The frustrating part with the officiating was calling things that were borderline being there, and then obvious things that were there not being called.
Yeah.
That's where my frustration all year has been in officiating with all the games, not just Steeler games.
But we talked about it on the post-game show. As soon as that game was over, what do? They send over to the Jets and Bungles, and you watch, Bungles got a bungle. And you watch Mike Hilton get flagged for that play, which ended up sealing the game eventually. And that was a terrible call. It really was. It was an awful call. So I'm like, oh, it's not just in the Steelers game. It's a little bit everywhere.
if you were from this area out here, you kind of like that call.
Yeah. Because
of the
player was against the
Jets.
Oh. So
that was Ty Johnson.
Oh, yes. Yes. Who from Western Maryland. Yes. Okay. Yeah. That's right. I now know what you're saying. So,
but it was off. But again, I felt bad for Mike. Mike Hilton knew that when he knew that flag was going to be on him, and he knew he didn't deserve it.
Yeah.
He knew that there wasn't going to be any reason to argue it or anything. He's like, look, I'm there. Yes. I go in to make the tackle. Yes. Our head's hit. Should that be called against him? He's probably thinking, should that be called against me? No, it should not, but I know they're going to.
See, because I think the key to those plays that they really need to pay attention to is what level, and this is hard when you're looking at so many different things as an official, but still, this is why someone said, I think it might have been Trey Essex that said on Twitter, this should, if you're going to take it to this level, you need to review it. This needs to be, kind of like the targeting rule they have in college, because it was the whole notion is here was Hilton's level, or agree. They have an official in the booth. Why doesn't he call it off?
That's
because
correct.
his level was at this level, which would have been fine to not have helmet to helmet contact until the offensive player's head came lower to where his head already was. He had established position first. It's just like with pass interference. If the defensive player establishes position first, it's like basketball taking a charge. If you're set up in that position first, you have the right to that position. His head was at that level. He should have the right to keep his head at that level.
Correct.
Even if someone else puts their head down. And I don't think it should have been flagged on the offense either. Sometimes players' heads hit, and neither of them means to do it, and neither of them was their fault, and it just happens.
If we could make it so that the players' heads didn't hit, we could get rid of helmets.
Yeah. Just
but
get rid of Yeah, you can get rid of helmets because your head's never allowed to touch anything.
There you go.
All right. You know what? This is what we're going to do. We're going to break.
Yep. because it's going to get
going.
Yep, it is.
So if you're wondering what's coming up, because it's going to be the title of the show, we don't always agree about everything. We're pretty agreeable so far, but we really didn't agree with something when it happened in this game. And we're going to get to the worst officiating call of the game. That'll also lead us into things moving forward with the Steelers this week. So we're going to go ahead, slide on into part 2. If you're listening to the audio, go ahead and click over. If you're here with us on YouTube or Facebook Live, give us a few seconds and we'll be right back. Pittsburgh Steeler fans, welcome back to part 2 of the Scho Bro Show. I am behind the steel curtain editor, Dave Schofield, coming at you, as always, with my big brother, Rich. Rich, you need another short breath?
Another quick short breath as I welcome everyone to the Bro Show.
To the Bro Show. So,
Bro Show.
Yes, I was asked if...
and it's about to be a show.
that if the other show with spelled like Scho coming up with the big play, how we felt about our other brother getting that strip in the game.
Which, by the way, we need to have him on, and then we just need to title our show the SCHO Bro SCHO, and it'll still be the Scho Bro Show.
Scho Bro Show.
Yes.
I ran out of people. Just for that play alone, I should have put Joe Schobert up in contention for the game ball because he came back to his old team and made that play. He should have been, because honestly, going against his old team, he probably should have had a game ball. I should have had him in there, but I was trying to get everything ready to go out trick-or-treating with my kids, and afterwards I'm like, he should have been there. I had Ben Roethlisberger, who PFF thought still played terrible, which is funny because they're looking at what quarterbacks do and push it down the field, and not did you manage the game well and win the game. So
correct.
I digress.
Which is why I don't worry. At certain times I don't worry about their scores.
Yeah, I like I to look at their scores just to see if they see what I see. And I had one today in the article because the defense article will be out tomorrow. But the one today for offense that did really bother me, and they're like, well, don't you understand PFF? No, I understand PFF. But how do you give somebody a score of 0?
Yeah, I know.
How do you say that you did? Because to me, a score of 0 is you did nothing. This is coming from a teacher, okay? If I have a kid that takes a test, in order for them to get a 0 on that test, they have to either do absolutely nothing or have absolutely nothing that they got correct. You either have to not answer any of the questions or answer. I mean, like if it's a multiple choice test. I had a lot of teaching physics, a lot of free response. I mean, my goodness, if all you did was write the right equation that you're going to use for the problem, you're going to get a point, But they say that Dan Moore Jr. had a 0 in pass blocking. Did he have a rough game? Sure. Was it because the guy across from him was really, really, really good? Sure. Did he get beat on a lot more plays than what he succeeded? Well, it depends on your definition of success. If your definition of success is that he didn't get to the quarterback and the Steelers had a successful play, then that's all he was going to be asked to do against Myles Garrett. To ask him to go out there and actually dominate him every play, that's not what the Steelers were asking of their 4th-round rookie. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's it. That's how it goes. So let's get into this, Rich. Big play. Big play. Steelers under 2 minutes line up for the 28-yard field goal. Was it 4th and 9 on the 11? It was on the 11-yard line, and I know they could get a first down without
it was technically just barely outside the 10.
Okay, so was it
okay? The first down marker was really, I mean, just inches shy of the 1 yard line.
Gotcha. Okay.
So basically, it's a 4th and goal.
It's fourth and goal. Almost. I mean, you like I said, could have got the first down there. 3-3 game, less than 2 minutes. Remember, and I still think this is extremely key that you got to remember. Steelers get the second half kickoff. Instead of going for the 3 points, the Steelers took a shot at a fake field goal. Now, I don't know anybody in their right mind that doesn't say, yeah, the execution was terrible. Can we agree on that part?
Oh, yeah.
The execution was terrible.
For all the reasons Mike Tomlin said directly right at the end of the game. Okay? Like, he nailed it. He knew that. You're going to see, because Dave and I very much different. Dave was a little more for the play. I was very much against the play. Okay? Now, Dave tried to get at me right away and say, oh, hey, of course you didn't like the play because the outcome was terrible. I said, no. I yelled stupid when Boswell caught the ball on the snap before the play even unfolded. I have Kyle and my wife and probably neighbors across the street who can verify because that's how loud I yelled it. I didn't like it for some of what you just said because I was coming into that whole drive. I had this whole plan. Okay, the Steelers have hardly won the toss all year. So we have had to take the ball in the first half so often. And I was looking at that there saying, okay, let's get 3, hold the Browns, get the ball to start the second half, get another score. Boom, we're well on our way.
Mm-hmm.
That was my initial reaction for not liking the play. You had to come away from – I felt you had to come away from that drive with points. Okay. Where we go from, where it went after that, then it was just like, oh, and on top, then it was just, to me, was compounded.
Yeah.
Now, the compounded part, I couldn't see. I mean, nobody knows that part's coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knew that once that play happened and we ran that fake that, Boz was going to get knocked out the game, we weren't going to have a kicker, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, that was compounded. But that just then takes that, what I already had as anger as if there was a time that it was okay to just take the points, I felt it was that particular game, especially when it has been so long since we had received a second half kickoff.
Yeah. Okay.
I saw it as an opportunity to do what a lot of teams like to do in the NFL, lost. Now,
To score and then score again coming out.
Yes.
All right. I completely see all that. And for all those reasons, it would make a lot of sense to kick the field goal. And if it was me, I think I probably would have kicked the field goal as well. But I'm not avidly against what they did. I'm avidly against how they did it. So I'm going to lay out where I disagreed. And to me, I feel like so much of it is outcome based. And that's what frustrates me more than anything. Because really, if you're someone who thinks the field goal, oh, why'd you do that? Look at what happened. I'm okay with that. Oh, well, I like that they tried it. I am okay with that too. My problem is people that are like, anyone who thinks that was a good idea is stupid. No, you're stupid. Okay.
Now, let me tell you where I would have, or how I would have liked this play more. Okay. If the ball is on the same spot of the field
mm-hmm.
and it is 4th and 2.
Yeah.
I like the call a lot more. Even if the call turns out the same way.
If it's 4th and 2, they're probably going to be looking for it more. So that's why I
Right.
understand with 4th
However,
and 9, if you're like, if your play is designed to get 10
Okay.
yards, it didn't matter if it was 4th and 9 or 4th and 2.
I can that I can understand as well. But then if I'm going to pull that fake out on 4th and 9,
Mhm.
I'm pulling that out on 4th and 9 from the 22,
Yeah.
not the 11. Okay,
Mhm.
because I have more field to work with. The Browns are having to cover more field.
Yeah.
Okay, we end up being limited into what we can do there because really at that point the only option is to throw to the end zone. You've got to throw it to the end zone because
Mhm.
basically if you come up short, it's the same as if you didn't throw it at all.
Yes.
So
I understand. So, all right. So now let me lay it out for you here. Okay. There's not a lot of time left. There's what? Just over a minute and a half, right?
Yep.
That's one of the reasons I'm like, I'm okay with it. For
Sure.
that reason.
Yes.
2, you weren't kicking the ball where you're trailing. You weren't going for a kick when you're
Right.
trailing. So you're not squandering a chance to tie or take the lead. You are tied, you would stay tied. That's 1. 2.
Yep.
You already have them backed up at their own, it would be at their own 11-yard line. What are they going to try to do right there? One, it's going to take them a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because if it falls incomplete, you don't get it where it was spotted
because it was never spotted.
Kick it. So you're looking at that. Now, of course, you could say what do you think is the worst thing that happens? The snap goes bad to Boswell. They fumble, they pick it up, run it for a touchdown. Boswell, gets hit or has a bad throw. They pick it off to run it back for a touchdown. So there's bad things that could happen no matter what. But that's what you could have on every single play. That's why you can't live in your fears. You've got to say, hey, we can execute this. So there's not a lot of time. So the chances of the Browns getting down there to score would be more difficult based on the field position. It's not like you're going for a fake punt and give them a short field. Okay?
As we saw is what happened anyway.
Yes.
The Browns got the ball there. The Browns went.
They got 1 first down, and then they ended up having to punt.
Correct.
So I understand that. 2, you're an underdog on the road in a division game, and how much momentum are you giving the Browns for stopping that? Maybe a little. How much momentum are you gaining if you score there? Huge. You talk about faking a field goal, getting a touchdown, and getting the ball to come back to start the second half. That could have been a dagger moment.
It could have been. As I kind of brought up before, and I know it's the mathematician in me. Okay. The mathematician in me is looking at the fact that though basically on that particular fake, the outcomes are score a touchdown or fail.
Yes.
What was not still an option that I like to still have available, it technically was there, but it really wasn't.
First
and that
down.
is make a first down and extend the drive.
No, that should have been an option. You know why? Because in a play like that where players are doing things they're not used to doing, including those on the defense, depending on who's out on the field, getting a penalty is almost as much of the odds as completing the pass. And the Steelers actually did that part of it. They drew what should have been the penalty.
Correct.
Because my point is people that are like, that was just a dumb decision. I don't care what would have happened. Even if it would have worked right, it was still dumb. You wouldn't be saying it was dumb, even if he doesn't complete the pass, even if they don't get the first down, even if everything still happens, but they drop the flag. And the flag comes out and the Steelers get the ball at the 5.5-yard line, 1st and goal. And 2 or 3 plays later, they score a touchdown. Got to go for 2. And even if they don't get it, and they go up 6 into halftime, or even if they go for it on, don't get in the end zone there and don't get the points on the board because Boswell's hurt, but they run down the clock and it's even pushed further back. There were other things that still could have worked out to their advantage if things just would have been done properly, like throwing the flag. But once again, that's results based. So the Steelers put themselves, what is a trick play? What's the definition of a trick play? The trick play is that it's the likelihood of you succeeding is not more than 50%. That's what makes
Right.
it a trick play. If the likelihood
No,
of succeeding was more than 50%, you
what-
do it all the time.
What makes it a trick play is the idea of the play is to trick the other team.
Yes.
This technically was not a trick play,
Yeah,
because it didn't fool anybody.
Well, and Coach Tomlin laid this out. And once I see this frustrates me that I'm like, this is the part of the call that I don't like. The part of the call that I don't like is that the Browns were able to be tipped off to what they were doing because they didn't keep their same field goal formation. They usually have their tight ends on opposite sides and they put them both on the same side. That's no good.
The
That's
whole
no good.
thing there, they would have had to basically run up, snap the ball.
Yeah. So Coach Tomlin was upset that the snap was delayed. Then he was asked today about it. They're like, well, if the snap was delayed, why didn't you call a timeout? Well, it wasn't delayed that much. The snap was delayed enough to alert the Browns that they basically took off any kind of field goal rush right there. All they have to do is call fake, even before they snap it. If they knew it was coming,
now
there goes your element of surprise.
Here's my other question. My question is were the Browns even going to send a rush there? Or were they going to play it safe?
I mean,
I keep bringing this things up. Field position for me there, and the fact you've got Boz back there. I doubt they're
content giving up three. They look at giving up three as a win, and that's probably why Tomlin went for it. He's like, I don't want to give them a win for stopping us. Now, do I give them a bigger win if we get nothing? Sure.
Right. But they were okay going to stop for the 3. Okay. And you're talking about Boswell, who for last year and this year has been one of the top kickers in the NFL, sitting in basically gimme range.
Yeah.
I don't think they were going all out block kick and you'd have had guys open on that. I think they'd have played, would you have had 6 guys covering 2? No, but you'd have probably still had 3 to 4 guys covering 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
yeah, and I mean, and you had 2 big tall guys there to try to throw the ball up to, that if they go up, maybe they get interfered with, one of those other things. I have something else I do want to say. I noticed Cam Hayward was downfield, but I didn't look to see where Cam Hayward was lined up.
Correct.
Was he lined up as an eligible receiver?
I don't know. He may have been legal.
So I don't know. But also, that's that 5-15 rule. If he would have been 5-yard penalty for downfield, but the 15-yard penalty for a hit, then his 5-yard penalty didn't matter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's just the way that they do that when it comes to those personal foul penalties. So the thing was, the execution wasn't good. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Because I want to go to
one other thing that I don't like, and again, this was totally outcome. Another part that was totally outcome based. Now, my first initial, like I said, anger on this play had nothing to do with when the play was done, was before the play was even over. I didn't like the call at the particular time and spot on the field. But the other thing that has to happen on a play like that is Chris Boswell has to be told, you're going to take it, you're going to roll right. If it's covered, just ditch it immediately. Don't put yourself at risk. I'm sorry, but he kind of held that, made
trying to make a play.
Trying to make a play that anybody could see really wasn't ever going to be there. And it ended up hurting the Steelers. Should that have been a flag? Yes. But I can also tell you why the flag wasn't thrown.
Mm-hmm. Okay? Because he wasn't a quarterback.
Although
he should be protected.
He should be protected like a quarterback. But again, that's all happening very quickly. Me as a referee, I'm looking out there and seeing Chris Boswell. I'm not thinking in the same frame of mind that I would be thinking if that was Baker Mayfield or Ben Roethlisberger out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Well, I'm just saying that might be an excuse, but it's a terrible one.
Oh, it's a terrible excuse.
Terrible excuse.
Should have been a flag.
But at the same time, yeah. I mean, for someone who, coaching football, special teams, working with the kickers, we had fakes, but we also had fire. We also had what happens if there's a bad snap, and you have 4 receivers that we would have. We would have the 2 tight, the 2 outside and the 2 inside guys that were eligible receivers. The 2 outside guys, they both went to the corners. They went to each corner because you didn't know which way the ball was going to go. Then you had one of your tight ends that was supposed to be just into the end zone in the middle of the field. The other tight end, I say tight end, it could have been anyone in position, but lined up as the tight end position, was supposed to go to the back of the end zone in between the uprights. And we say to the kicker or the holder, hey, if you're about ready to if you're picking up the ball, don't know what to do, and looks like you're going to get killed, throw it to the back of the end zone in the middle of the uprights.
Yep.
It's his job to be there, give him a chance to try to make a catch.
Exactly.
Even if you don't see him.
Yep.
In a play like that with Boswell, he should have, I'm not saying someone should have been at that specific spot. One of the contingency plans should have been, hey, we've got a tall tight end. If nothing else, and you can't see him be open, you need to throw it high, like at the pylon or wherever he was going. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I don't know exactly what that was, but that's just one of the things you do. I'm not.
Again, I will sit here and scream that yes, there should have been a flag on that play.
Mm-hmm.
However, that play should never be looked at as dependent on a flag.
Yeah.
Okay. Because of the same thing as a baseball coach, I tell all my hitters. Okay. At a full count, if that ball is close, you better swing the bat.
Yeah. Because
I would rather you swing the bat and miss on something close than for you to
leave it in the hands
let
of the
it go by and let your fate be put in somebody else's hands.
Yeah.
To a subjective call. My favorite was a kid this year that looked at a umpire called a strike high. I mean, it was high. It was like up above the layers. It was here. And the kid didn't like it. Okay. And the pitcher throws another one. Same spot. The umpire calls it a strike. And the kid's still not happy. 2 pitches later, same spot. The umpire calls strike 3, and the kid's mad and coming in. It's like, that's not a strike. I said, that's your fault. It's like, what? I was like, he threw the ball the same spot 3 times, and the umpire called it 3 times. Is it a strike? No. But if you can't learn after the first 2 and swing at it by the 3rd one, then you're dumb.
Yeah. I'm sure you didn't call the kid dumb, but I know what you're saying. Maybe you did. Who knows? A couple things I want to say about it is, of course, Coach Tomlin's a genius if it works, but everyone hates it. But I also want you to say you got to think big, more perspective. How many times have we complained about Coach Tomlin not going for it on 4th down, 4th and 1 in midfield in the playoff game?
I'm not mad at Tomlin today.
Yeah.
Okay, I was mad in the moment.
Yeah,
because again, I think I mentioned to you right before we went on here, it was because me, if I was coaching,
your job's to do knee jerk. You're supposed to have a knee jerk reaction.
Okay, if I, me at that point in time, if I'm the coach, I have a plan, and he went, I felt, way out of what his plan should have been.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that so much that I disagree with it now. I didn't like it. I think I brought it enough here. I didn't like it based on down and distance on the field, where the field position was. And like I said, a couple of other factors too, and the fact that I don't think you were necessarily going to get a big rush out of them anyway, given the field position. I think there was, I think that there was enough there that your what I want to say success percentages were going down and down, and they were down low enough that I personally would not have tried the play.
Yeah. You know what?
But I'm with you. If that play works, genius. No, I was still going to be mad in the moment. I was, if we would have scored a touchdown there after I yelled stupid right on the step, I'd have turned to Kyle, and my thing would have been like, man, I'm glad that worked out. But I said that was awfully gutsy because it shouldn't have.
I understand. I have a lot of things I still need to roll through here.
Get them.
The first thing I'm going to say in response to that is how the percentages come down to make you not want to do it.
Yep.
But you also got to look at risk reward. You've got to look at the big reward you're going to get, because here's the thing. Yeah. Listen, percentages. What are your odds of winning the lottery? Next to nothing. yet they don't have any problem selling lottery tickets.
I don't
Because
know
even
if it
if
was,
the percentages are low, because the reward is so high, that's why they sell lottery tickets. It's just
I don't know.
how we are.
Apparently, if you were my wife in the dreams I had last week, it happens like 5 times, because I had a dream that, she had a winning lottery ticket. And then, then I go into the next dream thinking, oh, that was a dream, only for it to pop back up again. So I had 5 different dreams in one night, each time thinking, oh my gosh, this is true. Oh my gosh, this is true. And then I finally woke up and I was like, yeah, it was just a dream.
Yeah. And it's so funny because, like Mark Tobin says here, he says Tomlin picks the wrong moments of the game to get fancy. Okay. Are they? Are they? No, they're not. You just don't like that it doesn't work out, because we're still saying that why didn't they go for it on 4th and 1 in the playoffs? Why didn't you, rather than punt it? You know what? If they go for it and don't get it, we would, how furious would we be? How furious would we be as fans? That's
why would you try to go for that? We haven't been able to get 1 yard all year.
You and I we didn't really fight about this the way we thought we would, but it's too outcome dependent, I have to say, because I still, and now you're like, Dave, what about the problem you had in 2019 when they ran the Wildcat? Okay. Part of me still looks back at that and say, I was still mad about how it worked out, only because before they even did it, I'm like, this is going to be a disaster. And it was. Part of it was because, I was right. But to me,
that was my reason for yelling stupid when the snap went. I just knew that it was not going to be good as it went.
But at the same time, the reason to me this is different than that Wildcat situation, I'm going to explain it to you. One, you had a person who still, the whole thing was botched. You had James Conner back to run the Wildcat. He was not the person running the Wildcat for you all season. You're in freaking December. You didn't have the right running back in there. He's never thrown an NFL pass. He hasn't been back there taking the snaps to do this. So you didn't have the right, and you're like, well, was Boswell the right person to throw this pass? You know what? Boswell has one more pass than James Conner's career, and it was a friggin' touchdown. Okay. So I'll say that. That's 1. 2, as soon as you line up in the Wildcat, you're not disguising what you're going to do. Everyone knows that it's something different coming. You just have to know if you can react to it. Right. At least they were trying to catch them off guard. They just didn't do a very good job of it. So that's me comparing it to the whole Wildcat situation. I'm going to go back and do what I did.
You know what? I got a quick question.
Okay.
I just was thinking on this. So how big an arm does Boz have?
Yeah, I don't know.
You know why? The best play there would have been to Boz roll right, throw hard back left to Big Press.
Make him have to tackle him. Bust out your sundial, see how long it takes him to get there.
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry.
So I'm going to go back and compare to a play where Tomlin was highly scrutinized, and I still defend him to this day. When we were sitting in the stadium in the playoffs in 2017, and they chose to go for an onside kick.
Yep.
Okay. And people are like, why in the world did you do an onside kick there? Okay. Look at what you just did. You gave him a field goal, blah, blah, blah. That was 100% outcome dependent. If the Steelers actually get that onside kick, Steeler fans will still be talking about how they won the Super Bowl that year because Mike Tomlin was a genius to go for the onside kick, and they got it and came back and won the game. But the reason they're like, oh, but you gave it away. No, you didn't. Okay. Because you have to look at how the game's working out. Because in that game, you didn't have the timeouts. You had to hold them to a 3 and out. Did it matter if you held them at a 3 and out from the 25-yard line or from the your own 45-yard line? Didn't matter.
Didn't matter.
You had to have a 3 and out no matter what.
And you know what? The Steelers hadn't had that whole. And this is
had won the whole game.
Won
the whole game. So to think that they're going to have a 3 and out right there, that's not your stuff. At least you gave yourself a chance.
Right.
Then everyone's
upped
like
your percentages.
But then they got the field goal and made it a two-score game. Yes, they got the field goal. Do you want to know why? Same thing as this. Because it was executed so poorly to a point that you're like, the odds of it being executed that bad was lower than the odds of you actually succeeding. Like the odds of Chris Boswell getting hurt on that play was lower than the odds of the Steelers getting a touchdown on that field goal. Okay. But yet the lower odd things happened. And the lower odd thing happened with the Steelers on that onside kick. Because what did they do? They kicked it only 5 yards and got a penalty for touching it, which instantly only got you 5 yards forward and got the penalty on top of that to where they could kick a field goal without getting a first down. If you just have a regular onside kick that goes 10 yards and you don't get it, then they'd have to get a first down to be in field goal range in a normal circumstance. Yep. So it was such a bad execution of it, but I had no problem with that. It was the right call. He gave his team a chance to get the ball back to win it, rather than just living in his fears and kicking it away and say, hey, let's do something we haven't been able to do all game, and that is stop them for the run. And you know what? And the way that played out, they probably wouldn't have stopped them to kick it deep anyway, because they kicked that field goal on a 4th and half a yard. And if I'm telling you that if it would have been not in field goal range, they'd have gone for it on 4th down and probably got it.
Oh, yeah.
So,
all right, I got 2 different comments I want to bring up here real quick. First one, okay. So Bert Tavares says we had another half play. It was unnecessary to put Boz at risk. You always put Boz at risk.
Yeah,
even on a regular field goal attempt,
he's at risk.
Right. I will say this: my other issue is that we subjected Boz to more risk
than what he normally would have.
Than what he normally would have been, and then it became evident that we had no plan outside of Boss.
Yeah. I still think it's Derek Watt.
That will not be the case moving forward.
Yeah.
That will be something now that I know will be addressed. They will have an emergency plan in place for if that happens again.
Well, I mean, if you're going to play it that way, then here's my question. Why is Presley Harvin the holder? He's your only punter on the team. If something happens where a snap gets rolled to him and the defense comes across and crushes him, you just lost your punter. Why not have Mason Rudolph hold? He's not getting on the field any other way.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? So you can't do that. It's the NFL.
I would argue this,
although
I don't know how it is now, but early in the career, BTR was pretty good at laying some punts out there. So. Remember Ben used to, we had a couple times where Ben punted the ball on like 3rd and longs. Do you even remember those?
Yep.
Hello. Okay.
Yep.
So then the very next comment I have to bring it up too. It doesn't really matter. Steelers won.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. That's the whole point of this thing. We got to hit back on this. We don't have to always agree. We just need to keep on loving the Steelers.
Love the Steelers and love
we won. Disagree on this. I disagree with them. I'm sure tons of people are disagreeing with you or me or whatever in the live chat and everything. You know what? And that's fine. Okay. We just got to love the Steelers and enjoy the win.
And let me tell you what, and I enjoyed the win. I just kept telling Kyle, it's like, I hope they hold on and win this. I hope they hold on and win this. I said, I want them to win this so that all of that
doesn't matter.
Yes.
And you know what? I saw people say the final score should have been 20-10. Absolutely not. You do realize that if Chris Boswell does not get hurt, the Steelers may not win that game because it might go to overtime. Because that's a whole different scenario. So he doesn't get hurt. They don't get it. Or let's say they kick the field goal and he misses it. Okay? Come on. The odds of Chris Boswell missing that field goal are less than him getting hurt.
But,
you know what I'm saying? So,
however, there were times on both the touchdown drives where we had 4th down in field goal range and probably would have taken field goals. But instead, we went for it because we had to. We converted and eventually got touchdowns.
And I mean, the Jesse James, the Pat Freiermuth. I'm just thinking of that because one, it was he caught his first touchdown in forever on Sunday.
And
highlight, I'm like, hey, look, Jesse James got that ball.
That's exactly what Kyle said when we saw the highlights. He said, hey, Dad, look, or I yelled to Kyle, said, hey, Kyle, guess what? What? I said, Jesse James caught that ball.
Yeah.
And he wasn't in the room at the time. He came in. He's like, oh. Yeah, of course they give him that touchdown.
Yeah, the play to Freiermuth on 4th down and the beautiful catch and everything. If Boswell's not healthy, they're kicking a field goal.
Mm-hmm.
They are, and then you're talking about when the Browns went forward on 4th and 12 when they were down 5, and some people felt they should have kicked the field goal, kicked it away, trusted their defense to stop the Steelers and get the ball back for a field goal to win. I wonder how. I bet you that's what people were talking about upset on Browns podcasts.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
sure.
So, but if not, then that's a field goal to tie, and they're taking that field goal. So you're to just assume that you're going to hit every extra point. You're not going to do that because the Steelers had to play with a different mentality. And so therefore I'm like, did it stink that Boz was out? Yes. Do I hope he doesn't miss any more games? Absolutely. Would I trade how any of this played out? No, because there were 1,000 different, it's Marvel's what if. How many different scenarios were there? I don't care. This was the one that gave the Steelers the win. Go ahead.
Yeah, but what ticked me off the most later on when I got to looking at things, I had multiple fantasy teams where I needed a kicker this week, and I got Boz like all over the place.
Oops. So yeah. It is what it is. We are running way over, but we knew we were going to. That was probably going to happen tonight because of the topic of the show. We aren't even talking about the Bears because you know why? It's Tuesday. Normally, that's really lean. This is like Monday.
Yeah, it really is.
Because they play next Monday. Everything's pushed back a day. Now, Tomlin spoke on Tuesday, which really threw us off. But at BehindTheSteelCurtain.com, your one-stop shop for all things Pittsburgh Steelers. But you're not even going to get an injury report till Thursday. So we haven't gone too much into the next game. So we didn't go into that. We did talk about that you're going to be there. Rich, tell me about what you're thinking. First of all, let everyone know exactly why is your whole family going to this game? Why is this one so special? So
if you haven't been listening here before, this is special that we're all going. We actually know one of the Bears players. He attended William and Mary while we were there. He was friends and spent a lot of time with a family that was really good friends of ours, so we kind of got to know him as well. He and one of the other football players that hung out with that family came to a lot of Kyle's baseball games because, Kyle and now I lost his name. Anyway, Braden took a second there. Kyle and Braden, played on teams together, and Braden was the son of the folks they were good friends with, and so we got to know both Zach, who did not get to go on and try out for the NFL due to some injuries, but we got to know Dre some as well. So we're excited because we're all wanting to go to the game and see Dre. To the point where
but you just want to see that he's you're in the NFL, you're going to lose.
Here's what we want to do. It's like, are we going to make some posters? Yeah, probably. Are we going to try to get down close while they're doing warm-ups and stuff? Yes, absolutely. Do we hope we can get Dre's attention so he'll come? Would love to get him come over and autograph one of the posters, but really just want to say hey and actually want to check and see how his little girl's doing. Things like that. Just because it's cool. Like, I totally know how we can totally get his attention and easily. So that's kind of fun. Now, so the pregame for us is going to be all about Dre. Okay. Once the ball is set on the tee, forget it, man. Steelers got to kick some butt.
Once you hear the word brave, it's over.
Yes.
After the land of the free and the home of the brave, that's it. Yes.
That's it.
I know exactly what you mean. So that's good. You'll be there. I'm excited for you all to be able to go. You'll be in section 122 if anyone wants to come down and check you out. Rich, we've got to get to the big question. We still got to do it anyway.
Yep.
Okay. So
everybody, remember, don't put them up yet, but get them ready.
Get them ready. But don't press end. Don't press end. Okay. Get ready with your scores because Rich is going to tell us his score for Monday night. Here's my question leading up to it. Does the first team to double digits win this game? Because it really is about the defenses in both of these.
It is, but actually I kind of like where the Steelers are going. I don't know that it's going to be that. It's not going to be the game we just saw this past week. There's going to be more points. Okay. Yeah. Probably both sides. I expect the Steelers to still have some good success running the football. I think that our offensive line is finally starting to get nasty at running the football. I like it. We need some more of it. And honestly, I think offensively, the Bears just do not have the weapons to be able to attack the Steelers defense the way they'll really need to.
Mhm.
So are you you ready for my score? Because
Absolutely do it.
All right. Score for this one, I think is going to, the game may be close early. I expect the Steelers to have a small lead at the half and then come out in the second half. And I don't want to say totally blow it open, but based on the points that are going to be scored, it'll kind of seem that way. Steelers win 24-12.
24-12. There you go. I just brought up the word scores in there. Yeah, Sean and Bert, you don't get yours.
Oh, they jumped the gun.
Yep, they jumped the gun. So 24-12. I could see that. Here you go. Oh, Kathy was ready. Kathy Ford, Steelers 24, Bears 17. Whoa, these jumped a big time.
Everybody had them ready. That's why they're paying
George
attention.
Teston's got 31-20 Steelers. Hashtag pay Kyle 24-14. You were pretty close. Wes says 38-13. He says Najee scores 3 TDs. That would, oh man, I could see that because it's a color rush game. Because it seems like when you're there for color rush games, crazy things happen.
Yeah.
Okay. Steelers Pittsburgh says 24-10 Steelers. Devin Logan says 28-13 Steelers. Richard Adamson says 24-18 Pittsburgh. Brian Brown says 10-3 Steelers. Boz gets a TD pass.
Ben
field goal.
Oh, that's
DF Bud says 2017 with Boz coming back to kick a game winner. Steel Dog 88 says 23-10. Steelers defense gets 6 sacks. That I could
believe it or not, I can see it.
Yeah. Brian Blackstock. Steelers 35-17. A lot of people saying defensive touchdowns with them. They got Minka with a pick 6. Stacy Lynn says 21-10 Steelers. Reginald Rivers says 31-17 Steelers. Craig J. Lawson says 24-13 Steelers with a black heart and a gold heart. Okay. Greg Schallenberger says 26-16 Steelers without any trick plays. Love it. Mark Tobin says 24-10 Steelers. Clarence Washington says 24-10 Steelers. Bert, sorry, you don't get yours. Sean, you don't get yours. All right. Chris Pugh, hey, one of the Ohioans, one of the power half hour. Steelers 10, Bears 9. He says Lambeau gets hurt. Big Press gets the game-winning field goal. Gotta love it. Jared Cherry Band says Steelers 27, the Bears 17. Oh, he said the Bear, but 17. John Loof 22-9 Steelers. Outside Steeler fan says Steelers 31-15. Reginald Rivers says 31-17 Steelers, and the Steelers haven't beat the Bears since 2005. Yeah, we know that. We don't want to talk about that. Demetrios says 27-13 Steelers. Got to get that offensive point total up. So, yeah, I could see that.
Good choice on score there, Demetrius. That was actually what I almost went with.
Yeah. How about Pat Hankinson? 10-0 Steelers. I'll be honest. I mean, this is one. It's the NFL. So I don't predict shutouts or anything like that, or sometimes even single-digit scores. But if there's a time where the Steelers defense could make a statement and really, keep the point total low, I think this could be the game. Yeah. Okay. Varys Lovett says 23-10 Steelers. And I will say this, Mike Tomlin said this today. He's like, Justin Fields is getting some confidence. He's going to run. You're going to see more from him, like even more running, things like that, as he's getting more games under his belt. So, but at the same time, he's still a young player, and you could, get some Trent Jordan going at him, maybe get some turnovers there as well.
Steelers at home, color rush game, prime time. I feel a block punt coming on.
Oh yeah, I could, dial that one up. That sounds like a good one. Okay, maybe get some dilly. I don't know.
Dilly.
So, Bernardo Vasquez says, "I always go against the Steelers just to reverse jinx it." So he has a Bears winning 17-9. Sounds like Andrew. Who already had to head out here early tonight, in his staff picks. Some people are like, why are you picking against the Steelers? He's like, read what he says. He's been wrong every week. So since he's been wrong every week, he's just going to keep picking against the Steelers. So, and how do I say this one? Rans 87 IROX. No, we'll go with that. Says he likes 17-3 Steelers defense will be fired up. I like it too. We're still coming at you. I'm not sure Next week, things will be off a little bit because of the game being on Monday. I'm not exactly sure when we'll be coming at you. I'm still waiting for one podcast producer, Brian Anthony Davis, to let us know the plan. But more importantly, we're excited. We're excited to watch the Steelers again. You'll be at the stadium. When you're at the stadium, I feel like I'm at the stadium, if you know what I mean. It's just kind of how family works.
Yep.
Most importantly, 3 straight wins, 4-3 on the season, above 500 for the first time since week 1. These are the games. This next game isn't one where you can let down. You can't be like the Titans almost losing to the Colts. You can't be like the Bungles knocking out almost half the Survivor League, including you.
Including me. Let me tell you, I was sitting there watching the other game that ran way late with Kyle and rooting big time for him because he was needing the Titans to win so that he stayed in.
So he could stay.
I wanted to make sure one of the two of us stayed in, which is why we quit picking the same. We made sure we weren't picking the same teams every week, so we wouldn't both get knocked out the same week.
So, but that's people need to realize that is what happens. Teams, it happens to all teams. If teams won every game they were supposed to win, then you would have an undefeated team every year. It's just what happened. So the Steelers can't come out and let this be a letdown game. I love that they're doing the color rush to make sure it doesn't happen after that big emotional win against Cleveland. So you're coming back Monday night, prime time, color rush. What do you have to say about this, Rich?
Hey, get down section 122 during the game. Myself, Big Bro, and Mrs. Big Bro will be sitting down in section 122. But before the game, to warm-ups, we'll probably have Scho 2.0 and Scho. I don't know what.
I don't even know what to call her.
we call her Rexy, but there's reasons for it. So Kyle can tell everybody about it on there. Rexy Scho is what we'll call her, I guess.
Okay.
We'll be there. We'll be around. Keep an eye out. Come over, say hey. Looking forward to it. Monday night, prime time. Another Steel W so I can take in that deep breath. Can't wait.